The Arab billionaire's baby was losing weight every day, until the black cleaning lady's son did something no one could have imagined. Yusuf al-Zahrani's scream echoed through the mansion's hallway as if the world were falling apart. His 8-month-old son Tariq was in the hands of a 15-year-old black teenager he had never seen before. The boy held the baby firmly, but slowly backed away as Yusuf's fiancée Valentina advanced with eyes injected with rage. "Let go of my son now," Yusuf yelled, running up the stairs. Elias, the son of Aisha, the cleaning lady, raised his other hand showing an empty glass jar. "Sir, your son is being poisoned. I have proof." Those words froze the Arab billionaire in the middle of the hallway. 3 months. It had been 3 months since Tariq had begun to wither like a plant without water. Valentina's private doctors said it was severe reflux, sensitive intestines, inadequate formula. There was always an elegant explanation. There was always a new prescription. But the baby continued to lose weight, cry weakly, and sleep too much. "You're crazy," Valentina shouted, her voice trembling. "Yusuf, this kid broke into the house." "I've been working here with my mother for 2 years," Elias replied, his voice steady despite his trembling hands. "And you know that." Yusuf stopped, breathing heavily. He knew the boy. He was the son of Aisha, a humble woman who cleaned the mansion 6 days a week. The boy sometimes came to help his mother after school. Quiet, polite, almost invisible. But now he was standing there, holding his son, accusing his fiancée of something unthinkable. "Give me my son," Yusuf said, extending his arms. Elias hesitated, looked at Tariq in his arms, then at his boss. "Sir, please. Just listen to me for 2 minutes. Then, if you want to arrest me, I'll accept it." The baby whimpered softly, and something in the sound of that cry hit Yusuf like a punch in the stomach. It was too weak, too tired, as if the child were giving up. "2 minutes," he said. Valentina snorted. "Yusuf, you're not going to believe this." "2 minutes," he cut her off, raising his voice to her for the first time in months. The silence that followed was thick as cement. Valentina crossed her arms, her chin raised, but something in her eyes shone differently. Nervousness, perhaps. Or fear. Elias took a deep breath. "Sir, for the past 3 weeks, I've been watching. Every time you travel, Ms. Valentina prepares the bottles herself. She doesn't let anyone into the kitchen. Not even my mother, who always helped before." "Because I like to do things the right way," Valentina interrupted, but her voice came out too sharp. "And every time she prepares them," Elias continued, ignoring the interruption, "the baby gets worse. He vomits gray. He cries hoarsely. He sleeps all day. And when you come back, my mother finds bottles with watery residue in the trash. Diluted milk." Yusuf felt the ground shake. Diluted. "My mother kept a bottle nipple with milk residue. I secretly took it to a school lab. I paid for it with my snack money." Elias pulled a folded piece of paper from his pocket. "Powdered milk mixed with less than half the necessary water. And there are traces of something else. The technician said it looks like an antihistamine." "That's a lie." Valentina took a step forward. "This kid is making up stories." But Yusuf was no longer looking at her. He was looking at his son. At the ribs that were beginning to show under his skin. At his sunken eyes. At the unusual softness in his arms. 3 months. Valentina had come into his life 6 months ago, shortly after the death of Nadia, his wife, in a car accident. She had been incredibly attentive. She took over all the baby's care. She hired private doctors. She managed everything. He, drowning in work and grief, had gratefully accepted her help. But now, for the first time, a terrible question hammered at his mind. "Why?" "Elias," Yusuf said, his voice hoarse, "how could you look at that?" The boy lowered his gaze. "My little sister died like that, sir. 4 years ago. The doctors said it was severe malnutrition. But my mother always fed her. We found out too late that my aunt, who lived with us, was diluting the milk because she was jealous of my mother. By the time we found out, it was too late." The hallway fell completely silent. Only the baby's faint breathing broke the emptiness. Yusuf stretched out his arms. "Give me my son." Elias handed Tariq over carefully. The baby was too light, too warm, too tired. Valentina, Yusuf said, without taking his eyes off his son, call Dr. Hassan now. I want complete tests. Yusuf, you're not going to. Now. And with that shout, something broke. Valentina recoiled, looked at Elias with pure hatred, then at Yusuf with something that looked like calculated despair. You're going to believe a kid from the slums instead of me, she whispered. Yusuf looked up. I'm going to believe my son. He's dying. And someone here knows why. What no one knew yet was how deep this rabbit hole went. And that Elias was about to discover something that would change everything forever. If your heart is racing with this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what comes next will make you understand that sometimes a teenager's courage is worth more than all the money in the world. Dr. Hassan arrived in 40 minutes. A serious man with gold-rimmed glasses and an impeccable lab coat. He examined Tariq in silence while Valentina watched from the doorway, arms crossed, jaw tense. Severe dehydration, the doctor murmured. Signs of acute malnutrition. How did this go unnoticed? Because the doctor she hired said it was normal, Yusuf replied, looking directly at Valentina. Normal. Dr. Hassan raised his eyes. This baby is in critical condition. He needs immediate hospitalization. Valentina finally spoke, her voice too controlled. I always followed medical advice. Maybe the formula Aisha prepared. My mother has never prepared a bottle by herself since you arrived, Elias interrupted. You wouldn't let her. Yusuf, are you going to let this boy accuse me like this? But Yusuf didn't answer. He just picked up his cell phone and called the private ambulance. Then he turned to Elias. Where's your mother? Downstairs, sir. In the maid's room. She doesn't know I'm upstairs. Go get her. Now. While Elias ran downstairs, Dr. Hassan collected blood and urine samples from the baby. Valentina watched his every move like a hawk, but said nothing more. Her silence was more frightening than any argument. Aisha came upstairs terrified, her hands shaking, her eyes wide at the sight. Mr. Yusuf, I swear I didn't know my son. Aisha, sit here. Yusuf pointed to the sofa. His voice was strangely calm. I need you to tell me everything. From the beginning. Don't be afraid. The woman swallowed hard, looked at Valentina, then at the floor. Sir, I didn't want to cause trouble. But strange things have been happening for weeks. What kind of things? Baby bottles disappearing from the sterilizer. Powdered milk disappearing too quickly. Once I found an unlabeled bottle hidden behind the refrigerator. When I asked about it, Ms. Valentina said it was an imported vitamin supplement. Dr. Hassan stopped writing. What kind of bottle? Aisha looked at Elias, who pulled a photo from his cell phone. This one, doctor. I took a picture before she threw it away. The image showed a transparent bottle with colorless liquid. No label. No identification. Can I see that phone? Dr. Hassan asked. Elias handed it over. The doctor enlarged the image, brought it close to his eyes, then looked at Valentina with an expression Yusuf had never seen before. It was pure disgust. Promethazine, he said softly. What is that? Yusuf asked. A powerful antihistamine. In controlled doses, it treats allergies. In high doses mixed with diluted milk, Dr. Hassan didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Valentina let out a short, sharp laugh. This is ridiculous. You're inventing a conspiracy based on blurry photos and employees' assumptions. Then explain the bottle, Yusuf said, his voice dangerously low. I don't have to explain anything. I didn't do anything wrong. That's a lie. The voice came from Elias, firm and clear. Sir, there's more. Everyone turned to the boy. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small black flash drive. What's that? Yusuf asked. Security camera, sir. The one in the kitchen. My mother told me that you turned it off every time you prepared a bottle. But the system continues to record on backup for 2 hours before deleting. I logged into the system 3 days ago and copied everything before disappearing. The air left Valentina's lungs. It was subtle, but Yusuf saw it. Her shoulder dropped an inch. Her eyes blinked too quickly. You hacked into the house security system, she whispered. I learned it in a computer science course, Elias replied. The password was on a post-it note behind the monitor. No one ever changes it. Dr. Hassan held out his hand. Can I see it? Elias handed him the flash drive. The doctor plugged it into the laptop he always carried with him. He opened the files. The first folder was labeled, Kitchen 3 weeks ago. The video started playing. It showed Valentina entering the kitchen, looking around, picking up a baby bottle. Then she went to the refrigerator, took out the unlabeled bottle, and dripped 3 drops into the milk. She stirred slowly. She tasted it with her fingertip. She added 2 more drops. Yusuf felt bile rise in his throat. There's more, Elias said quietly. 11 videos. All the same. Dr. Hassan moved on to the next one. Same scene. Valentina alone. Colorless bottle. Drops in the milk. 5 this time. 6 the next. The dosage increased every week. My God, Aisha whispered, her hand over her mouth. Valentina was as pale as paper. She didn't speak. She didn't deny it. She just stood there, staring at the floor, like an ice statue. Yusuf stood up slowly. He walked over to her. He stopped a few inches away. Why? He asked, his voice breaking. She looked up. For the first time, there was no pretense. Just calculated coldness. Because your will leaves everything to him. And I'm not going to spend the rest of my life babysitting a child that isn't mine. The confession hit like a bomb. There was no screaming. There was no drama. Just the naked, cold, murderous truth. Yusuf backed away, trembling. Dr. Hassan closed his laptop. Aisha hugged her son. And Valentina smiled. A small, bitter smile, like someone who has lost everything and no longer cares. Call the police, Yusuf said to Dr. Hassan. Now. I'm already dialing. But no one expected what Valentina would do in the next 30 seconds. No one was prepared for her movement toward the window. And Elias was the only one who realized she wasn't running away. She was reaching for something on the windowsill. Elias saw the glint of metal first. A small, silver revolver, hidden behind the orchid pot on the windowsill. She has a gun. Valentina picked up the pistol with a fluid, practiced movement. She didn't point it at anyone. She just held it steady, finger off the trigger, eyes scanning the room. Nobody move, she said, her voice strangely calm. Dr. Hassan froze with the cell phone in his hand. Aisha pulled Elias behind her. Yusuf, still holding Tariq, took a step forward. Valentina, think about what you're doing. I did. I thought about it a lot. She laughed, a bitter sound. 6 months planning every detail. 6 months pretending to love a man who only talks about work and a dead wife. And this kid destroyed everything in 3 weeks. You were going to kill my son, Yusuf said, his voice shaking. I was going to set you free, she corrected. Children die, Yusuf. It happens. Sudden infant death syndrome. Reflux complications. The doctors I hired were going to confirm everything. You were going to cry, lean on me, and in a year I would be the new Mrs. Alzarani. With full access to the fortune. You're sick. Valentina shrugged. I'm practical. The difference is that you rich people can buy morality. I had to create mine. Dr. Hassan slowly lowered his cell phone. The police are already on their way. Even if you leave here, you won't get far. I know, Valentina smiled. That's why I'm not leaving. She turned the gun toward her own chest. No. Aisha screamed. But Valentina didn't pull the trigger. She just kept the gun there, her finger caressing the metal, her eyes fixed on Yusuf. You know what's ironic? She said softly. I really liked you at first. Before I found out how much you were worth. Before the will. You were kind. Broken. Easy to manipulate. Valentina, put the gun down. But then I met your son. And I realized that as long as he was alive, I would always be the second choice. The substitute. The decoration. Her voice hardened. No one treats me like decoration. Elias took a step forward. You don't have to do this. Be quiet, boy. My sister died like that. Poisoned by someone who was supposed to protect her. I know what it's like to carry that burden. Elias took a deep breath. But if you kill yourself, you'll leave everyone thinking it was just greed. No one will understand why. Valentina blinked. And you understand? No. But I don't think you do either. Because if you did, you wouldn't need to kill a child to feel important. The silence that followed was thick as lead. Valentina looked at the boy with something that almost seemed like curiosity. Then at Yusuf. Then at the baby in his arms. He doesn't even look like me, she murmured. Not at all. The gun dropped an inch. From the hallway, sirens began to wail. Blue and red lights danced through the windows. Heavy footsteps climbed the stairs. It's over, Valentina, Yusuf said. She laughed, a broken sound. It's been over for a long time. I just didn't want to see it. The door blew open. 4 police officers entered with guns drawn. Drop the gun. Now. Valentina looked at them. Then at the pistol in her hand. Then at Elias. Thank you for this, kid. I couldn't find the courage on my own. And she dropped the gun on the floor. The officers advanced, handcuffing her in seconds. Valentina didn't resist. She just stood there, staring blankly, while they read her rights. Attempted murder, one of the officers said. Poisoning a minor. Illegal possession of a firearm. There's more, Dr. Hassan interrupted, showing them the laptop. 11 videos documenting each dosage. And the bottle must still be in the house. It's in the bathroom trash can, Valentina said in a monotone voice. I was going to throw it away tomorrow. A police officer went to get it. He returned 3 minutes later with a plastic evidence bag. Inside was the colorless bottle. Concentrated promethazine, Dr. Hassan confirmed, looking at the faded label. The therapeutic dose is 5 milligrams. This has 250 milligrams per milliliter. 3 drops would already be dangerous for a baby. She was using 6, 7 per bottle. The older police officer whistled softly. This is clearly premeditation. He was going to die in his sleep, Valentina said suddenly. No pain. No suffering. I'm not a monster. Yusuf moved closer to her, his face inches from hers. Did you kill my wife too? Valentina looked up, and for the first time, something resembling remorse crossed her face. No. Nadia died alone. But when I saw the opportunity, she didn't finish. Take her away, Yusuf said, his voice breaking. Before I do something I'll regret. The police dragged Valentina into the hallway. She looked back one last time. Take good care of him, Yusuf. He deserves better than the 2 of us. And she disappeared down the stairs. The room fell silent. Only Tariq's faint crying broke the emptiness. Dr. Hassan put his hand on Yusuf's shoulder. I'm taking him to the hospital now. With proper treatment, he'll make a full recovery. Yusuf nodded, unable to speak. He looked at Elias and Aisha, still hugging in the corner. You saved my son, he whispered. Elias shook his head. We just saw what no one else wanted to see. No. You had courage when I was a coward. And I will never forget that. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics climbed in, put Tariq on oxygen support, and prepared in 4. Yusuf followed them, but stopped at the door. Elias, he called. We'll talk tomorrow. There's something I need to do for you. The boy didn't answer. He just nodded, exhausted, as his mother hugged him tighter. And when the sirens finally fell silent, the mansion breathed differently. As if an invisible weight had been lifted from the walls. But the story wasn't over yet. Because what Yusuf would discover at the hospital would change everything again. 2 weeks later, Tariq was unrecognizable. Full cheeks, toothless smile, chubby little arm grabbing Yusuf's finger while breastfeeding. The hospital doctors confirmed a full recovery. No permanent damage. Just invisible scars that would take time to heal. Valentina awaited trial. The charges were devastating: attempted murder, poisoning of a minor, will fraud. Her lawyer tried to argue post-relationship depression. The judge denied bail. She would remain in custody until the trial, scheduled for the coming months. Yusuf was in his library when Elias and Aisha arrived. He had asked them to come, but did not explain why. "Sit down," he said, pointing to the leather armchairs. Aisha was nervous, her hands clasped in her lap. Elias was calmer, but observant as always. "First, I want to thank you again," Yusuf began. "Not just for saving Tariq, but for showing me that I was blind. So drowned in work and grief that I didn't see the obvious." "Sir, anyone would have," Aisha began. "No, they wouldn't have." Yusuf shook his head. "You saw it. Your son saw it. And you risked everything to prove it. While I, the father, was the last to believe." He paused. "So I've made some decisions." He opened a folder on the table. "Aisha, you no longer work as a cleaner in this house." Her face fell. "Sir, You are now the house manager. Your salary will triple. You will supervise the entire domestic staff. You and Elias can live in the annex of the property, if you wish. And you will both have full health insurance." Aisha covered her mouth with her hands, tears streaming down her face. "Mr. Yusuf, I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. You deserve it." He turned to Elias. "And you, young man. 15 years old, technical course in computer science, and courage that grown men don't have. I researched you. Excellent grades. Your teacher says you're a genius at programming." Elias lowered his eyes. "I just like computers." "Then you'll like them even more." Yusuf pushed another piece of paper toward him. "A full scholarship to any university you choose. In the United States or abroad. All expenses paid. Housing, food, books. And when you graduate, you're guaranteed a job at my technology company, if you want it." Elias was paralyzed. "Sir, It's the least I can do. You saved my son. That's priceless." Yusuf stood up. "But there's one condition." "What is it?" Elias asked. "When you're at university working, living your life, I want you to remember one thing. There are always people that no one sees. Cleaners. Security guards. Cooks. Drivers. And sometimes, it's these people who see what the powerful can't." Elias nodded, his throat tight. "Don't become like I was 3 weeks ago," Yusuf continued. "Blinded by pride and money. Be who you are now. Someone who sees." From the hallway, Tariq's cry echoed. Yusuf smiled. "He's awake. Want to meet him properly." They went upstairs together. In the bedroom, the new nanny, elderly and highly recommended, was holding the baby. Yusuf took his son, then offered him to Elias. "Hold him." Elias hesitated, then accepted. Tariq looked at the boy with huge, curious eyes. Then he flashed a toothless smile and grabbed Elias's finger with surprising strength. "He knows," Aisha whispered. "He knows you saved him." "Babies feel," Yusuf agreed. "They know who protects them." They stood there for long minutes, just breathing, feeling the weight of what had happened, and what had narrowly not happened. Weeks turned into months. Elias began studying for the SAT, dreaming of MIT. Aisha transformed the management of the house, hiring people from disadvantaged communities. Tariq grew strong, healthy, loved. Valentina was sentenced to 17 years in prison. No possibility of parole for the first 10. In his sentence, the judge said she had tried to kill not only a baby, but the trust that holds families together. Yusuf never worked weekends again. He never trusted blindly again. And every time he looked at his son, he remembered the 15-year-old boy who saw what he refused to see. One Sunday afternoon, 6 months later, Yusuf found Elias reading in the library. The boy had been accepted by 5 universities. MIT was one of them. "Have you decided?" Yusuf asked. "I think so. MIT. Computer science and ethics." "Ethics." "Yes. Because technology without morals becomes a weapon. Just as knowledge without compassion becomes blindness." Yusuf smiled. "You're going to go far, Elias." "I hope so. My sister didn't get a chance. But Tariq did. And I'm not going to waste mine." That night, as he put Tariq to bed, Yusuf whispered in his son's ear, "When you grow up, you'll meet a lot of important people. Doctors, lawyers, business people. But never forget that the person who saved your life was a boy that society didn't see. And that the greatest lessons come from the most unlikely places. Tariq yawned and grabbed his father's finger, as he always did. And in that simple gesture, Yusuf understood that some debts can never be repaid. Only honored. Every day. Forever. If this story touched you, if you believe that courage has no age or social class, subscribe to the channel and share in the comments who was the invisible person in your life who made all the difference. Because in the end, it's not the eyes that really see, but the heart. And sometimes, a 15-year-old boy has more wisdom than all the billionaires in the world.